invasive.
Is it? So it's a Japanese variety that they are, I wonder,
I can email you the link tomorrow.
yeah, because
You can check it out. Actually, I'll send you all the link if you want it to the state's recommended site to see what's invasive species for the state.
yes, that would be great.
Sure.
We had that one time, I don't think I had it now though. So it's the Japanese.
Mm-hmm. 2 minutes. There's hawthorns. We have like 20 of them in our yard, and all of them got killed this year because it's too cold. It's supposed to be for this zone, but it's not. Yeah. And everybody's using them this year. My dad's planted tons.
If you notice, Costco, they lost just about all of them.
So
all
the
of the ones.
hawthorns,
The hawthorn.
The Indian hawthorns,
It's
yeah.
for this zone, but they just did not. It's too cold.
already this year it's too cold for them?
Well,
It was last
the
winter.
beginning, like February, they
Right,
just got.
right.
They were fried.
They got zapped.
Yeah,
I mean,
we had to pull all of ours out.
Ah.
What happened?
It's just too cold
weather?
for them. They're supposed to be good for this area, but they're not. And before last winter, they thrived. I mean, they did really well, but it just got too cold.
Well, I wonder if it's,
Yeah,
is
it got
it a
to
special
-1,
variety of it
-2.
or something?
Mm-hmm.
That's true, it did, didn't it, for a few,
Yeah.
that's what's,
2 days in a row.
and that's kind of.
It was a harsh winter last winter. I
was.
mean, it was atypical for us. So.
I've never seen. I mean, they were everywhere, gone. We could save a couple of them.
Personnel
But-
and also
Computer at the beginning.
yeah, there was an ad hoc computer thing that was set up to, well, we came up with, let's wire the city or the town hall, you know, which was revolutionary in 92.
You kind of helped start all of that, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. The thing was, when we did the first thing, they said, oh, it's got to be only internal. We cannot have any external links. And I knew that wouldn't last over. And it didn't, but anyway, yes, okay, yeah, we can do that. You know, and then it's real simple, just to plug into a modem and go outside, which they did within 2 months.
Okay, well, I have 7 p.m., so let's go ahead and call to order the December 2014 meeting of the Visual Resources Review Board. As we start tonight, let us add just one item to the agenda here at the very beginning. One of our board members has been with the town of Farragut serving in various capacities now for 20 years. And we would like to recognize tonight that years of service, and that is Dwayne Winkler,
I thank you.
who have served, and I've had the pleasure of serving with him for 5 or 6 years maybe on this board,
Yeah, I think it's
as well as, well, you said you served on personnel and also a computer IT board way back in the very beginning.
yeah.
So to recognize you for that service, Dwayne, I would like to present with you this 20 years of dedicated service to the town of Farragut, 2014.
Okay, I thank you, sir. It's
You're
been a
welcome.
pleasure serving. Thanks.
That is nice,
Very
Yeah.
nice.
It is.
yeah.
Something to aspire to.
Yes. Pretty heavy. It's really nice.
It's real nice.
Well, let us continue on. Feels like it's been a little while since we've met, so we have to approve the minutes for the September 2014 meeting, as we didn't have one in October or November. Is there any discussion on the minutes from September 2014? Okay. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
I second it.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the next item on the agenda are wall signs that have been approved since our last meeting, and now looks like we have quite a few. Does the board have any questions or comments about any of the signs that were approved for the walls?
Okay, one question, the casual pint, what was decided with them?
They actually did a revision to that sign. It's on a raceway with the yellow letters, and then they, instead of that large brown background that we had sent out, it's actually just incorporated now as shading behind the yellow letters. So it's not as large and as boxy as originally proposed, so it has been revised.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
I
you're
think it
pleased
turned
with
out pretty well.
Okay.
Very much so.
Mhm.
It looks very nice.
Mhm.
All right, we'll move on then to the third major item on the agenda, which is the ground-mounted sign applications. We have a couple of people in attendance. May I ask who you all are here representing? Okay, the landscaping plan and the shell location. Okay. Well, why don't we move forward in our agenda to the Shell station, which is the next one down, and we'll start there. And we have something in here that in our packet. There we go.
Yes, sir. This is for a 32 square foot internally illuminated sign, ground mounted sign. The applicant is proposing to revamp the ground mounted sign, as you can see, and up in the corner is the existing signage. Staff felt that it was legible and architecturally compatible with the existing signage that exists on the property, and staff would recommend approval.
Okay. It's a very nice looking sign.
I think so too.
No problems with it?
So you're just going to replace the sign that's there with the panel that we see here? Very, very straightforward and simple.
Okay.
Looks like it'd be easy to read. Will all the colors be just what you see here, the green for diesel and the red for gasoline? That's right. Okay. Any other comments, questions? Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Easy enough, wasn't it?
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much.
Have a good holiday. You too.
So why don't we go ahead and move on then to the landscaping application for the overlook at Campbell Station.
Yes, sir. Left up at your podium, I know we had looked at this. As you may have read, this is a landscape plan for a proposed apartment complex just north of the Holiday Inn on North Campbell Station Road, the former Wellens property, Lee property there. This, again, at your podium, we had put the initial comments that we had sent to the landscape architect. He has addressed all of the comments as it relates to revisions to the plan. The only thing that we would note is we would recommend approval of the landscape plan subject to any modifications taking place to the civil plans being reflected in the landscape plans, since it will be reviewed by Planning Commission this coming Thursday.
Oh.
The site plan will be before Planning Commission at that time. I have the large set of plans with us because I know the 11 by 17s are very difficult to see. They are in the back of the room, and if you all wish, we can go back there and you can look at them if you want. They do meet, the plan does meet the planning requirements, certainly within the town, the tree preservation ordinance, and the landscape architect is here if you have any questions of him.
Okay. So all of the items that you say here in the initial comments, they've all addressed and agreed with
Yes, sir.
the changes to be made here?
Yes, sir. They're actually reflected in the revision that you have in your packet.
Oh, it is in there. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right here's this sheet that you're talking about that you handed us
Yes.
separate. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you, since you're a landscaper, so the Japanese, are there different types of the barberry?
And if you wouldn't mind, sir, to step to the podium, because we have to get that on so everyone can hear.
Do you know, do you know like the different types? Are there different types of the barberry plant?
The one most commonly used here is a dwarf barberry.
It's a what?
Dwarf, a smaller version,
Yes.
spreading.
So the Japanese is different than the smaller version ones, or is that still called a Japanese?
They're actually all
All the same?
Japanese.
Okay.
It's a Berberis is the family.
So this property actually is along Campbell Station Road then?
It is.
Well, or at least this one part of it.
It is.
Correct.
It will actually be accessed from
And that's
North
where the
Campbell
access is.
Station.
Okay.
Improvements will be made along that frontage there for a deceleration lane into the property. There's a stream that bisects that property. This, just as a background for your all's information, this property was rezoned to R6 OSMFR in that it's the open space multifamily overlay, so they have to preserve at least 50% in undisturbed open space with this new zoning district that was created. So across the stream is where the majority of their property will be preserved.
Okay, you said it's R6 what?
OSMFR, Open Space Multifamily Residential District.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
But, and that's what I wanted.
So the stream's on the back part of the property?
It is. On the tree preservation ordinance, you can kind of see where that buffer is outlined on your screen in front of you. Mr. Pethel's plan certainly just shows the part of the property that's to be disturbed from the stream forward towards North Campbell Station.
Okay. The stream itself, though, will be left undisturbed, is that correct?
Yes, there's a 25-foot buffer. This being no touch zone.
Okay.
So as far as you're concerned, everything has been satisfied, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Just as long as, if there's any adjustments to the civil plans that come from Planning Commission on Thursday night, that those adjustments be made in the landscape plan.
Okay.
Just so there's consistency between the
Okay.
plans.
So on the top part of the plan, these are residential homes along Campbell Station Road?
It's
It's sort
the,
of-
it's the mobile
Yeah.
home park
Okay.
that
Those are
exists there.
residential homes?
Yes, sir.
And then on the bottom, this is the hotel or
Yes, sir.
Holiday Inn.
And then the school's to the rear of the property.
What kind of, I'm trying to read it all here in the small, but in between the residential homes there, you have a lot, it looks like you have a lot of shrubs, trees, and so forth. And just help me out with what type of materials in between the buffer between the residential and the multifamily?
Sure. There's a group of existing trees that's fairly close to the property line, so those are being preserved. A lot of those are, well, there are some hardwoods, some hackberry, and then there's some eastern red cedars along Campbell Station, along that leg. Proposed trees, we've got an evergreen screen
Mm-hmm.
that's made up of magnolias, Nellie R. Stevens hollies. Also included are green giant arborvitae and cryptomeria, Japanese cryptomeria.
Okay. And that'll provide a good buffer even during the winter months then, it
That
sounds
will-
like.
Exactly, take care of winter. And then
Mhm.
in front of that are some shade trees and flowering trees.
Actually, where's the school? Can you point, are you able to point, or you don't have your
The
little
school, and it's grossly exaggerated, the school would be off of the screen above Campbell Station.
pen? Okay.
They have some more property just beyond the stream that abuts the school's property. And then the school's property adjoins back in that corner off of Snyder Road.
Okay.
So there's quite a bit of vegetation
That's going to.
that it will exist
School's
between the
still
school
there.
and this property.
Gotcha.
Okay.
It's gonna be
The apartment complex itself is it multi-story?
Yes.
How many stories is it?
I believe it's a 3-4 split.
That's
Okay.
correct. It's 252 units that they're proposing for this development. There's 9 apartment buildings and several accessory buildings on the property.
Okay.
Is town gonna widen that road through there?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
What about lighting inside the complex? I'm not able to quickly pick it out, but will there be quite a bit of pole lighting around the parking area?
There are pole lights spread throughout the parking area, and there are
Mhm.
some pedestrian scale lights around the pool.
Okay. Will a lot of that, you think, be shielded by what this buffer is between the residential area and there? Some of that lighting be shielded, you think?
Yes, it's all zero cutoff lights, and they'll, in elevation wise, this project's gonna be below adjacent property. Well, the
Okay.
clubhouse area is below.
Okay. So that shouldn't impact the residential portion
Correct.
over there?
That's correct.
Okay. Where's the walking trail going through the property?
There's a network of sidewalks that are running through, that are kind of creating a circle in front of the buildings and then coming through one of the parking islands there to connect all of the buildings. There is
Mhm.
not an actual walking trail that is proposed. They're on the site plan. They have stamped to look at doing a minimally invasive type walking trail system in the future through their open space area.
Okay. Okay, so right now it's just the sidewalks connecting the buildings, and it does come back over to the street, I guess, that way?
Yes, there is a connection out towards North Campbell Station Road.
They're adding.
Okay.
Okay, so what are they gonna do with, I'm sorry, the clubhouse, it says that there's one revision being the retaining wall.
There was a retaining wall that was originally shown. It's not shown on the drawing that you currently have because you have the revision.
Right.
There was an encroachment into the buffer area.
And so you,
So they have actually revised that, and you have the revisions as shown.
okay.
We just wanted to provide you all with our initial comments on the plan so that you would know what we were asking for, certainly, with the initial plan submittal.
So you said 253,
252.
252?
Mm-hmm.
And parking spaces, what's the, do you know?
1.75.
Huh?
1.75 per unit.
Per unit.
Per unit. Now, where did you see that? I must have missed that
Code.
somewhere along the way here.
It's actually not on this plan.
Okay.
It would
No.
it would be on the site plan submittal. They actually have ample parking for this site, I will say.
Gotcha.
They do meet the parking regulations. They actually, in the upper parking lot area, they've incorporated, and even as you enter the property, some actual parking garages. So those are some of those accessory buildings that are in the parking areas there to provide for those for some of the residents.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, I think all my questions are answered. And then some.
Okay. Well, is there further discussion on the landscape plan? Of course, we had a subject too that Ashley mentioned, but do we have a motion then if there's no further discussion?
I move that the overlook at Campbell Station landscaping plan be approved, subject to whatever revisions MPC makes this Thursday.
Okay. We have a second?
I second.
All right. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Wasn't too bad, was it?
You're welcome. Okay, well, I guess when you just go back to the very beginning of the ground-mounted signs, then we'll work our way through.
Sounds good.
All right, so the next one is, the next four actually are four that we have looked at over the past 2 months via email. So Bad Daddy's Burger Bar
Also,
is one that we've already talked about. We need to make formal approval now. This one's already installed.
It is not currently
It's
installed.
not installed, but
We're
they
still
are.
waiting on their business license application before we can issue the permit.
Okay.
So once we obtain that, then we'll be ready to issue this permit. But this one, I will say, was revised. They darkened up some of the letters to Bad Daddies, especially trying to make it a little more bold, so it's a little more legible. So this is the revision that they
I think
submitted.
they followed our recommendations
sir.
that we gave. Okay.
Actually, was there a different on the left-hand side, that logo? Did we decide that that was hard to read or that it was okay because you could read the other?
Well, it's hard to read, but I sent Ashley a picture. I was in Charlotte a few weeks ago and seen one of these restaurants, and that is indeed the logo they have outside the restaurant.
Coke bottle or a beer bottle.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess since you can read the rest of it,
Yeah,
it's
in
not
this
really
case,
pertinent that it.
It says the
I think
same
that's why
thing.
you all, pardon me, I think that's why you all wanted Bad Daddy's bold.
Right.
I mean,
So that it could.
so it could be legible, so you would
Legible.
know that that's the
Exactly.
business that you're going to instead of
Right.
And
guessing.
Right. And see, this is a new one here, and a lot of people, other places may know that logo.
Yeah.
We do not.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that they did kind of make it a little bolder.
It's also going to be on the top one, right?
It
So
is. It's
bigger
the
anyway
long
than- okay,
panel.
that's
Yeah.
what I thought.
Okay.
Mr.
Yeah,
Gaddy's took
here's the
whole-
rendering
Yes.
of it.
When
Yes.
do they hope it to open?
They are renovating the interior of that space.
they?
They've not given a target date. They went to Planning Commission last month. They're actually going to be adding a patio feature for outdoor dining out to the side. So that has not yet begun in their construction. Currently, it's only interior renovations. So it's hard to speculate, but I would think early spring
I'm glad.
or
to see
late
them
winter
getting
before.
some Things down there.
Mm-hmm.
Competition for Red Robin. It's gourmet burgers and chicken wings. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. That was an I like it much better on the
Okay.
sign.
Any further discussion on Bad Daddies? We have a motion.
Motion to approve?
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, State Farm tenant panel.
Much better.
I think we've also talked about that. And they've boldened, or made it bolder or something, didn't they, the State Farm? So it's going to be all red now.
It
White
was,
back.
And it's up.
yep.
It's up.
Legible when you drive by.
Yeah, and
Actually, you
we
see
had
that
some
more than-
conversation about which panel it was, so that's why we've included here, just so you all know that panel was to be removed. And when I went by, it was gone the other day, so.
Okay. All right, so that one's up. So I'll make a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And next is the Redeemed Church. I haven't looked. Is this one up?
It is.
Okay.
At Patriots Corner there.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve?
I move that we approve the Redeemed Church's sign.
We have a second.
A second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Nail Art and Spa. Is this one up?
Yes.
Okay. We have a motion to approve. I'll make a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, K-Town Specialty.
Yep.
This is a newer one.
I think.
This is for a tenant panel on an existing ground mounted sign at Station West. before you is the tenant panel. It's a dark shot because of the rain, but this is where it's proposed to go. I know in your packet we said, that we felt that it was legible and architecturally compatible with the other signage that's on that sign and recommended for approval, but didn't know if maybe you wanted to have some more discussion as it relates to the legibility of it.
So I had a question, like you X'd out some of the other ones?
That was for their Shop Farragut campaign sign that is currently up, is why that's X'd out. I wanted to draw your attention to this one
I
here.
understand. Okay.
She submitted everything for her Shop Farragut campaign and this all on the one rendering, which is perfectly fine with us.
Yes, but that,
But we had X'd that out just so you all
Okay.
wouldn't think twice about
so
it.
the
So
actual sign will have no color to it.
it won't. It will be black and white.
Okay, and I like the sign, but is it going to be legible from,
That's what is the font too thin? Is
Go
it?
back to the other.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, see, because look at all of the other ones, even the closest I would think would be the Lee's Natural Health to that, but that's still going to be I like the sign, but
Sure.
it's going to be
I think the
thin.
Lee's Natural Health is kind of hard.
It's hard to read, and so that is thinner than the Lee's Natural Health. The
And it's,
Allstate pops out, and then the
And it's fancier font, which is going to be harder to read when it's smaller, I think.
I'm worried that I think it's very nice. It's a very nice sign, but it needs
To be thick.
thicker.
Mhm.
Is it
Bold.
More
bolder or
the
thick,
bold.
Yeah.
wider? Like the K, the town. That's beautiful the way. But a lot of the high school people will not be able to read it now because they don't do cursive anymore. But for us oldies who still do cursive, I think it's a very nice sign. I'm just worried that it's too thin.
I think it looks good on,
It looks
logos
great
and
on-
letterhead and all that stuff,
Yes.
but for a sign,
Has she
it'll be,
considered maybe making it a little thicker?
We can certainly talk to her about it.
And
see
again,
if-
tell her that
if
we
she's
really
open
like
to
it, but look
mean-
at that. Look at that antique market. See, the two top, Lee's and the antique market.
Yeah.
Gatehouse,
I agree.
sorry. Well, it's the gatehouse, and those are thicker than this, and it's still hard to read.
to me, I draw my attention, of course, first to Allstate.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
absolutely.
And the
then
bakery,
And
The
the bakery.
bakery,
even the insurance down here,
exactly.
but those other
Because
two
of
get
the
lost.
thickness of the sign.
And which panel is it going to be on?
That's a good question.
Because these shrubs are starting to,
Oh.
they should really be on the end, but it'll be even
Yes.
harder to see if it's in front of one of those shrubs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
And I would say it would probably be in one of those lower 6 panels, given that the others are taken by current tenants.
So
Mhm.
it probably would be best on the left, but those need to be cut a little bit. And I want, again, the best for her, and it's a beautiful sign, but like you said, on everything, but this is going to be something that the purpose is
You
for
want-
someone to grab your attention, and Allstate definitely grabs your attention.
Mhm.
I think the bolder it could be,
The better for
better.
her.
even looking
Yeah.
at maybe a different font.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
And I understand wanting to put sportswear accessories and gifts
Mhm.
there so you
I do
know
too.
what she's selling, but at the same time, that's going to make her sign
Even,
cramped and a little bit harder to read.
You could even do it, if she changes the font, I don't think it would fit underneath there like it is. But if you changed it to like the Looks by Libby one, you could do 2 lines and put the sportswear accessories and gifts underneath the
Mhm.
name.
that's good.
That's a good idea.
That is a very good idea. She just needs to make it thicker.
Because I think the Looks by Libby is legible. And it has
Where-
2
where's that?
lines.
Mhm.
It's on the other one,
Mhm.
Oh.
on the right-hand side.
Oh, yes, it is. You're right.
Yeah.
It is legible. It's more legible because of the
But
darkness.
I think her font is
And-
part of the logo.
It
that-
is. That's how her wall sign is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
It's
she's
the
not gonna
same
change her
logo.
font.
No.
No.
But
I mean,
can
bold,
she
she
make
needs to make it bold, but
Bolder and
Yeah.
thick, yes, because see, Lee's Natural Health is not as bold as the Allstate and the bakery and the hair salon. So. Whoop, I keep hitting that.
Okay, I think we're all in agreement that it probably needs to be a little bolder and just some modifications to it. So is there any further discussion on K-Town specially?
So what do we do in this case? Just hold
Well, I think
off
we
and-
can
and
make-
you talk to her, or how do we do this?
I think we have the option, I guess, of making a motion to approve subject to
Yes.
going back and asking all of those things, or we can make a motion to table it till the next meeting, but that would delay them a month.
I don't really want to.
Potentially.
do
Won't
that.
delay her.
I don't,
Yeah.
I would rather do the subject to, wouldn't you?
I would, and
Yes.
and she
And
can
we'll
always
reach out to her
email us.
tomorrow
Okay.
to let her know that if you all do approve it subject to, what those subject to conditions are, and if she meets those, then we can issue her sign permit.
Mm-hmm. Then you can always email us too,
Uh,
once she has a
yeah, I'll be
revision.
glad to.
you know.
Be glad to.
So, motion to approve, oh, I'm sorry, you
Go
didn't.
ahead, go ahead.
Motion to approve, subject to, making the sign bolder and possibly a little wider if she could. Is that right? What
Mhm.
else?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
And it doesn't hurt to even consider
Having the sports maybe
on a second line.
on the second
The
line.
two-line
To
text.
consider
Right.
anyway. If it can work out. All right, do we have a second on that motion?
A second.
All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, so we're at the Farragut High School sign that they want to add as you enter off of North Campbell Station Road.
Yes, sir. This is this is actually the sign as you enter from West End. The sign that would be up on North Campbell Station would be exactly like the sign that was previously approved at West End. The Board of Mayor and Alderman last Thursday night actually, and I'll skip forward just so you can see the location, just kind of north of the outdoor classroom that the town recently constructed. Had some concerns certainly about visibility of the sign from North Campbell Station and the audience that was to be gathered to know that that's an entranceway into the school. So at the Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting last Thursday, they approved this sign in a temporary basis so that the high school and the town could work together to do a joint sign for the outdoor classroom and the road entrance in the near future. So your approval tonight, if you approve this sign tonight, please know it would be temporary in nature.
Okay, so it's possible the sign could be installed and then changed later? Is that-
It would be removed later
Be removed
for a
and moved
joint
down,
sign.
Or,
Yes.
okay,
Okay.
just moved. The sign.
It would probably be we've not worked out the kinks of that yet. I mean, I would almost envision it would be a new sign altogether that's joint for the town outdoor classroom and Farragut High School in one structure there.
So,
Okay.
one question, will they change the other sign too? Because I thought that they wanted both signs to be the same as they are, so if they're going to change this one totally, they'll probably have to change the other one too.
I think
would
that's a
think.
great question. With that being such a recent motion, we haven't really worked through
That's
the
a good
details
to
of it,
consider,
so.
Because I'm sure that they're wanting them to be,
But the school was very open at the Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting. Their representative there and working with the town to certainly capture a sign closer to North Campbell Station, certainly for visibility.
so you are going to put it up as if yeah.
There was a
What is-
sign there before the outdoor classroom construction started, right? And it was on the
Yep.
corner.
That's correct.
And then are they putting the gates back up there as well, or are they still there?
The
'Cause
gates are,
Renee-
the gates, that is actually now, the entrance road is actually a platted public right-of-way when those improvements were made to North Campbell Station. That's when the sign actually was removed. And so the gates now are all the way up almost as you enter the property
Oh, yeah.
to the school, because that being a public right-of-way.
Yeah.
Okay, so at this point, the sign is the same as one that's previously been approved.
Yes, sir.
It's certainly legible.
No problems with it.
Block lettering. It's I think you would have no problem reading it from Campbell Station Road, other than the fact that it sits off the road
So far.
a pretty good distance. So
Yes.
I'm guessing it's going to be oriented to face Campbell Station then.
That was the town's plan as it relates to the outdoor classroom sign, is capturing that corner there in a placement that it's visible from all angles. So
Okay.
we've just not got to the design process yet of that sign.
Okay. Is it possible this sign would not be installed and would just wait until the town and the school work together?
That's a possibility.
Okay, but we could approve it and then they can decide that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, it looks good to me.
Me
Yeah.
too.
All right, any further discussion? Do we have a motion?
Okay, I'll move to approve the high school sign.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so the last item on our agenda is a discussion on provisions for sidewalk signs.
Yes, sir. This is a request from staff just to have a conversation with this body as it relates, and we've just thrown these in here today, as it relates to sidewalk signs, portable business signs as they're defined by the ordinance. We've had, and there's different instances of them through town, and not picking on these businesses in any way. I think they're really good examples to spur this discussion. As it relates to sidewalk signs within the town, we've had quite a few violations as it relates to that ordinance. So anytime we have violations of an ordinance that are ongoing, we want to just evaluate that provision to see if it's something that if staff is doing, not communicating, or if there's an issue certainly with the ordinance that may need to be revised. And in this case, there may or may not be, and that's why we wanted to have this discussion. Really wanted to get your thoughts on how do you all feel about sidewalk signs? Is it something that should be permissible with certain provisions? Is it something that should remain prohibited under the sign ordinance?
Nope.
And provisions, I'm saying limiting size, location,
When-
being located within so many
And
feet
you-
of a
and you-
doorway.
Can you refresh us on what it currently says on the ordinance?
They're prohibited throughout
Just
the.
prohibited
Not at all.
completely.
That's what I'm
Yes.
I have no
saying.
problem with them.
When did we
Um,
get to where we started? I didn't start noticing them until recently. So what happened? How did this come about? Do you know?
Well, I mean, with with this development, they have large sidewalks. They certainly more than would be allowed, and some of these businesses are new and may not be familiar with the zoning ordinance and the sign ordinance at the time. So
One of them though, because you see the sign up above. What?
I think it's
Well,
to
spatial.
advertise special.
Yeah, they-
Yeah, it's more like
gift
extras.
cards.
Like a restaurant,
Right.
they'll have their daily specials written on them.
Especially in this
Um,
shopping center, the windows are small.
Mhm.
So where a lot of businesses can hang the window signs, they don't, I mean, if you put that in the Wow Massage in the window, nobody would ever see it. And because the sidewalk is so deep, they can move it out a little bit and kind of draw attention.
Mhm.
I mean, these aren't huge, but
I have
you
no
have to
problem
put a
with these.
size limit.
Yeah.
Kinda like
Yeah.
you said,
I
Ashley,
think with
I mean, and I think we would have to say we have to have a minimum of,
Right.
and we've not even looked at text, but we would have to have so much sidewalk free and clear for pedestrian traffic. I mean, there would
Yeah.
have to be parameters with it, but before we even went off and researched that, we wanted to see how you all felt. I mean, there's certainly, I mean, if you're driving down Kingston Pike, you're not going to notice these signs.
No,
I mean,
these are
they're
more
really
for people
geared for
walking through the.
Pedestrian traffic.
absolutely. It's
development,
geared for
right.
pedestrian.
Square is-
As we get more of these larger retail developments, it becomes more of an issue for.
Right.
And personally, I don't mind them. I don't like them when they're right in the center of the sidewalk and
Yes.
to walk around them.
Yeah.
But if we could, restrict the placement of them.
Percentage of sidewalk.
Or is it more, I mean, yeah.
I may have a suggestion, but like in Gatlinburg and some of the other places, they do not, you really don't have a lot of room to do that. They have like, a lot of places I've seen is they have it almost where that they can put it to the wall for a temporary, it's there, but it's not on the sidewalk bothering anyone. Or, you know, that's a safety issue for children or running or whatever. But if you had something to where they could tack their specials, you know how like the restaurants all the time will do, and you go up and you're reading. I would much rather read up there than to look down to see. So
I think
maybe
that's a valid, I think that's a
you know,
valid
with-
concern. That would count against the way the ordinance is currently structured against their wall signage.
And it could be something that they could take down to where it's not considered a, you know, part of a sign or anything. Something like a Today Special. And that people would, maybe, you know, that would kind of eliminate and then everybody would be happy.
Do you know what other towns in Tennessee do? Do they allow?
I can just speak from the community that I came from. They were prohibited within that town.
They have.
I did look at some,
You were in Gatlinburg though, right?
mhm,
And there's very, very narrow sidewalks up there.
there are.
Yeah.
I mean,
On the
I
walls.
did initially look at Collierville, Brentwood, Franklin. They are prohibited in those towns. So, and some of those do have, you know, truly downtown districts, but they're not providing for that. And just looking at Tennessee, I think if we wanted to look at language, we would probably have to branch out to probably some tourist destinations to find maybe language. But it's just an initial
Safety issue,
conversation.
Because if someone's, that's a first,
I wouldn't disagree with that, Cindy.
But
What
I-
about, what about Knoxville? Because I know Market Square, that almost
they're
every
just-
one of those places has
yeah.
a chalkboard sign where they change it daily. And I know some of the places, even in Turkey Creek, that would back up to a lot of the Farragut businesses would have them. So you have one business that
I just
has
think it
them
looks
and
so
not.
And this first example here is from Turkey Creek within,
Yes, or like Fleet Feet. Is that the one?
and you know, that surprises me, Turkey Creek allows that because they were so picky.
and I can't speak for their covenants and restrictions,
You know,
but I mean,
at one time, they were very.
it's something,
but-
I mean, we can look at Knoxville and see what language maybe they have and just kind of, I mean, we're not certainly ready
I think
to
it would-
propose an ordinance or do anything. We just wanted to get a feel, especially as we have more discussion about mixed-use town centers and trying to bring about a downtown. Maybe that's the area that it's more applicable to than townwide. I don't know. I mean, but that's just something to think
I
about.
think Turkey Creek is one of those areas where you get a lot of people from out of town that comes in, and I think what Cindy's saying with the restaurants being able to put a menu or something up, that's a nice feature when you're from out of town and you'll be able to
Sure.
come
It
in.
is, and then,
I don't want to see them littered all the
Me
way down
either.
this sidewalk where I can't walk. So I feel like there might be a compromise in here somehow that we can work with the business to come up with a plan
I like
without.
it can be classy, it can be,
Yeah.
you know, you can even have a lot of the times under glass, you know,
Mhm.
that little thing to where they
Right.
change it under glass, and it can be a part of their actual, when they start the construction. And it advertised, because I really do enjoy it. I mean, if you're new and you're wanting to see the specials, and
Mhm.
so it benefits the company, but it doesn't, those take away.
I think you allow it, it's kind of like the shop Farragut signs, everybody wants it when it's allowed. If you allow it, every single business, and it would
Exactly,
clutter up,
and it
especially
would
like
Good point.
this.
so,
I mean, most of the sidewalks are smaller, so
Right.
then you've got it.
if
They
you
are.
really
I would
think
say
about
the
it.
Brook-
Cluttering it up.
The Brooklawn development's kind of the anomaly in town. I mean, with large 8-foot, 10-foot sidewalks in some places. So, but I mean, in a Turkey Creek application where they have standard sidewalk widths, I mean,
It-
it's just something to think about. And I mean, certainly, we don't have to do anything as it relates to the sign ordinance.
Right.
We just wanted to have the discussion with you all to see maybe what you all thought
well,
about it.
and as in grocery stores or anywhere, advertisement is that they do eye level. You know, whatever that you want sold, it's eye level. This, and if you're not paying attention and people texting all that stuff, you're gonna have some accidents. It's an accident waiting to happen.
Yeah, I don't
And-
like the one on the right placement. It may be in
Yeah.
the grass, but it may
Looks
not
like
be.
it's sitting in the
I
grass.
can't tell, but
It's not. It's actually on the back edge of that island there. But I mean, it's just an example to show you all. I mean, we say sidewalk signs. I think pictures sometimes. I'm a visual learner. It helps me visualize things,
Yeah,
but
the one on the left, I have no problem with. The one on the right, it's way out in the middle of the sidewalk. I have no
Mhm.
problem with that one.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's not what I want to see.
but I mean, we just, Mark and I both
So
felt that we
like
maybe
these
should.
Here.
Th-
See,
these
they
would
could
be
put
like,
one
if
right
you mounted them to the
there,
wall, they'd
and
look
you're-
nicer.
Almost every one of them have that little
But they're right in front of the
fix
buildings,
to
so
where
not
they
bad.
can do, right there,
Well,
like a little glass.
You see, Market Square is a pedestrian mall. And for some reason, I think they're more appropriate in a pedestrian-only
Mhm.
environment.
Mhm.
You too. I
More
agree.
appropriate where you will be walking up and down
Yeah, and
through
not,
there.
yeah. And also that implies a lot of room on the sidewalk
Mhm.
Mhm.
where it's a pedestrian.
Yeah, there's a lot more room to walk around them in Market Square. And a lot of those
Yeah.
places have patios coming out, so they aren't
Yes.
even really in the
That's
main
true.
walkway.
Exactly.
They're
Yeah.
back at the entrance where most people don't walk unless they're going into a business.
Yes, and matter of fact, I find the signs nice because it figure out, you know, what they have. Or, signs on
The wall.
things on the wall that has the menu in it. Those are nice, but I think that would be considered a sign. Restaurants, you know,
I think that we could get by with, that's what we were saying, you know, having it to where it's on the wall, to where you change it every day. I
Yeah.
think that you could get by with it not being part of a
And I think
problem with the sign.
there's a provision within the sign ordinance now that allows them to have informational products like
There.
pamphlets and stuff that they have. I think it has to be within so many feet of their entranceway. Those are currently permitted. They're not certainly at a large scale, as I'm calling these sidewalks at a large scale. I mean, they're really handouts, and maybe that's all
I love
that's
that information.
afforded. And I mean, we're just
But
wanting
it's
to have
just-
this discussion with you and get your feedback on it. If it's something maybe
Yeah.
we just hold off on and wait and see as we try to if we get to the point of developing a downtown, maybe that would be a more appropriate context to have this discussion further.
Yeah, I don't think you have to rush on it, but I think there might be a compromise. But I do think we need to be very careful.
I
Um,
agree.
You know, I just don't. I don't know if there's a situation where there's 10 or 15 in a row, and you have 10 or
Right.
15 out, and you're just dodging and weaving around them. I don't think any of us want that.
no.
No, and we don't
So
want to
how do
create an
we-
environment that is unsafe for pedestrians. I mean,
No.
we want to encourage that activity.
Right.
Well, and also if they put it out every day, then it's right into their sign. You know, it's just an extra sign that they're
It
gonna
is.
have out every day.
It is.
Yeah.
So, you know, I know the shop Farragut signs aren't allowed, all the, you know.
And
4
this-
times a year for
Yeah.
10 days,
Right.
so, except for
So maybe
the
it's
campaign.
limited, you know, how often they could use it. So for their major
Mhm.
sales times of the year.
And I understand why they want it. I just want it, we need to class it up a little,
Right.
a little bit.
Right.
And that is something to consider for future as far as actually putting it, something to where it's within the brick. Or,
You can't really see it, but they're on the Coco Fit Club. If you'll look just above
They
their
do have
sign,
something.
they have a, it's almost like a little
mailbox?
acrylic box that's there that has their specials in it.
Oh,
So something like that's what I was talking about, but
Yeah.
a little bigger to where that, yeah, I see what
Yeah.
you're talking about. And they still have the sign outside.
So that's allowed.
It's
now.
currently allowed as long as
Okay.
it's
So
within
maybe that's something.
So
that-
so many
That's what I was
feet of the
talking about.
doorway. There's provisions that restrict it. It can't be so large. I
That,
mean, it's,
well, see, yeah, it needs to be a little bit larger than that for specials, for restaurants and for whatever, but, so it's not, and they could change it every day.
to whatever they want to provide. But I think it's important maybe not to just focus on restaurants.
Yeah,
To,
true. I
to
mean,
be fair
everybody
to
has a
the whole
special.
business community,
Mhm.
to
Because-
afford them the same thing that any other business
Absolutely.
in town would be. And I think Wow Massage or Coco Fit, I think they would
They
appreciate.
would have specials they have
Oh,
specials
sure.
too, so it's just to let people know, that's a good idea.
Well, I appreciate your all's discussion.
I thought that was like a key
Okay.
drop or something.
Well, it's a dark photo, so my apologies there. But
okay.
All right. Well, any further discussion? That was the last item on the agenda. Is that all we have tonight,
Yes, sir.
Ashley? All right. Well, then we will come call the December meeting good and
Two.
finished.
Now, everybody
next
got one,
time.
right?
Thank you all so much.
Thank you very much.
Circle those
Yes.
choose.